Hi there, my name is Cupicate, and welcome to 2023. Happy New Year to all of you. So this last year went by oh so fast. I cannot believe that in 2023 we reached the goal of having 2,000 subs. That's insane. I can't believe it. I'm so grateful. I can't wait to do a celebration of 2,000 subs in the next 2 weeks. We're gonna have that. But wow, I mean, I need time to slow down a little bit. Like, there's not enough time every day to do what I want to do. And I want to enjoy this, but wow, has it gone by so fast. So I want to go over a little bit of what happened in the past year, talk about what I'm hoping to take with me into the new year, something I want to change about myself for the new year, and kind of a goal. I will hopefully make this really quick because I know y'all want to get into the wolves and what I've written for them for our new series of WolfQuest that'll come out on Sunday. But y'all need to vote on it, obviously, so I know that's why you're here. I'll keep this quick, I promise. So I think the big thing I want to take into this year is creating content and making more stories. I have loved creating series for y'all. I have loved being a storyteller to you. I never really thought that that would become the bulk of what I did on the channel. It's so funny that I wanted to be a writer, like a true author of a book that I wrote, hints writer, and that my storytelling ability ended up being the biggest part of my channel when I literally was just gonna play games. And I think that in some ways, I'm being told that I need to write stories. I need to. And so I want to carry that into the new year, continuing to tell stories about wolves or cats, or who knows what else could come up. Games are being made every day. Role-playing games are being made every day. How many new adventures are out there for us, but I'm taking the storytelling with me. Now for the new thing that I want to change in this year. I want to make sure that I stop biting off more than I can chew. I think through the excitement of how quickly this is growing and how passionate I am about this, I love making ideas and lists of things that I want to do, but I don't think about how much time and effort those things take, and then I keep adding more to the list. So my goal to change this year is to take everything one step at a time. If that means other plans get pushed back a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple months, I need to be okay with that. I need to not look at it like a failure that I'm postponing to make something more beautiful, more perfect, more special. All of those things can happen with time, but if it's something rushed, it's not going to be very good. So I need to give myself some grace, and I'm hoping to take that and make that change this year. And then for my goal is more associated with what I want to take into the next year. I want this year to write my first book from our stories in WolfQuest. I don't think I can call it WolfQuest due to copyright reasons. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe I'll reach out to the devs after I write the book and ask if they want to be associated with it, how they might want to do that. I don't know, but I can't do anything until the book is written. And so that is my big goal for this year, is writing my book. And I know that all of you will be like, yes, please write it. I'll read it. And I just need to do it. And I know that y'all's support will be there. And I cannot wait to give that greatest gift, not just to myself, but to y'all, of having a book written. So I thought I would share that with you. And I would love in the comments below, tell me what you want to take into this year with you that you started last year, what you want to change this year, and a goal you have for this year. I cannot wait to read the comments and get caught up on the comments. Because I took a break this week, and I took a real break. Like, I didn't respond to comments. I didn't do anything. I barely checked Discord. Like, I took a real break, y'all. You'd be so proud of me. But now I just feel out of the loop on everything. It'll take me a few days to get back in the loop, but now I'm gonna have more time starting the 9th of January, I'm going to have so much more time. It's going to be amazing. Okay, now without further ado, let's get into what you were waiting for, which is these pups. So we're going to start off with Moon Dancer. Moon Dancer is the firstborn son of Teo and Sundance's very first litter together. So as for modifications, I decided really just to keep Moon Dancer the way he is. The only thing I changed was the fluffy tail, because we do love that fluffy tail. Now, you will notice some similarities between the siblings, and you have to remember as you're reading through these when things sound similar, it's because they all came from the same parents. So some of them might have goals that relate to each other, but that's because Teo and Sundance are their parents, and sometimes they follow a path their parents have laid for them, sometimes they rebel, so we're going to see who does what. I am sorry if there are any typos or grammatical errors in this. I wrote these up pretty quickly with what just came to mind right off the bat, because sometimes I think that can be the purest of thought. But if you guys feel like anything should absolutely be changed, let me know, but we can't change too much, otherwise the voting will be off. All right, Moon Dancer is the firstborn son of Teo and Sundance. Although he followed the ways his mother and father spoke of, he never felt as connected with the goddesses as his siblings did. Eartham always spoke of the whispers that Eartha sent his way, and Seraphine spoke of her connection and desire to follow the former champion's footsteps. By the former champion, that's Seraph. I just thought I should throw that out there since I didn't specify. However, Moon Dancer didn't have any of these feelings. At first he wondered if it was his name, but now older he realizes that perhaps the goddesses have yet to reach out to him. Now old enough to leave, Moon Dancer decides that he desires to contact the goddesses himself. Lost River was a place Teo spoke of often, saying how close it was to Eartha as she takes the land back. In hopes of speaking with the All-Mother, Moon Dancer decides to search there. Will Moon Dancer discover what he is looking for, or will he discover a completely different path in Lost River? So Moon Dancer is kind of an open book a little bit. He does have a desire to find a connection with the goddesses, but perhaps if we take him to Lost River, he'll find that, or he'll find something completely different. Maybe he realizes that isn't for him, but building a family is. And that can be okay if we have kind of a more normal playthrough. Now, I didn't write any goals, quirks, flaws, or pack points for these pups because, one, it's a lot to think about and it's a lot to keep balanced. And since we're only picking one wolf out of all of these, that was a lot of extra work for me that I didn't want to put effort into until we decided who we're taking. So you can kind of look at his bio and picture maybe what his goal, quirk, and flaw would look like, and feel free to leave your suggestion in the comments below. But that is Moon Dancer. And now we have Eartham. Now for Eartham, I did notice that he looked a lot like a husky. And I thought maybe he took after his grandmother, Kiba, a little bit. So I gave him the little notches here that I often see in dog ears, and Kiba has those a little bit. But I also gave him a crooked tail to kind of signify how huskies have curled tails. So he has a lot of husky blood kind of showing through on his coat. Now for his bio. Eartham is the second-born son of Teo and Sundance. In his younger years, Eartham was distant from his family, but he never felt alone. Having been born with a strong connection to Eartha, he found himself trying to discern the whispers from the earth around him. As he grew, Eartham watched his father struggle with the loss of Sunset and Bastion and turning to rage. During this time, Eartham called to Eartha often, watching the behaviors of animals and listening to the whistle of the wind between the grasses. When Eartham comes of age, he decides to leave Slough Creek in hopes of reaching a higher level of understanding on the goddesses. During his travels, he follows the whispers to a strange place, a place that Eartham recognizes in story, but never thought he would ever get to see. Will Eartham decide to stay in this mysterious place his father spoke of, or will he move on? So that is Eartham's story, and so he will be heavily guided by the old ways, kind of similar to how we do Teo, Or Seraph, for example. Remember when we did the meditation with Seraph? He would probably lead a path very similarly to that, but it is also a path of discovery, not of self, but of something higher. And so that is kind of where Eartham would go when he goes to Lost River. And then we have Seraphine, the last remaining pup that survived in the first litter. I did not give her any customizations other than the fluffy tail. I didn't feel like she needed it, and her story doesn't really call for anything that would have happened to her. Seraphine is the only surviving daughter of Teo and Sundance's first litter. In her young years, Teo doted on her, having been named after his adoptive mother, Seraph. She heard many stories of Seraph, the stories that she passed down to Teo. Before she was officially a year old, Seraphine had already decided that she would retrace her grandmother's steps back to her original pack in the north. When the day came that she felt ready enough to live her dream, Seraphine left her family to discover the original Avarian pack. On her way there, she discovered Lost River, the last place Seraph had lived. Now here, will she stay a while to walk in Seraph's footsteps, or will she move north? So with this, I'm kind of giving it an opening. I like to kind of add what would happen if they're not chosen. So it could be like, for example, if Seraphine isn't chosen, she continues to move up north. The same could be said for Eartham in a way that perhaps he doesn't discover what he's looking for in Lost River and moves on. And so all of these wolves can have a story beyond getting picked or not. And I tried to give a little last sentence in hopes of doing that with any pups that may not get picked. I do think Seraphine would be fun to play, because we could add in a little more story of Seraph's past. Possibly Seraph even reaching out to her. Could be a lot of interesting little tidbits that I've left out about Seraph, or could even add in to give Seraph a little more backstory. But now we are moving on to the second litter, and to start with, we have Root. So same thing with Root, I actually left him pretty plain. And I think that's okay for him because his coat is so striking. He doesn't really need anything. So let's read what I wrote for Root. Root is the firstborn son of Teo and Sundance's second litter. While he did value the teachings of the old ways, Root grew to have more appreciation for the love his parents shared. As he got older and helped raise his younger siblings, the desire to have a family became too much to bear. Teo reminds Root that Eartha sometimes calls them to have a family. Spreading the old ways is not the only way to honor Eartha, but having a family and allowing her to give more life is another way to honor her. With this knowledge, Root leaves to make a family in the fabled Lost River on his father's suggestion. Setting down roots in Lost River is now Root's dream. Haha. Will he succeed when he gets there, or is he not ready? So, kind of interesting there. If we end up choosing Root, he may also take more of a, I want to live the life of a wolf pack and find his own story there, where we may not continue to follow the way of the goddesses kind of line. And if we don't pick him, it could be that maybe he doesn't find what he's looking for there and he has to come home. So another little thing that I left if he doesn't get picked. But I think it would be a lot of fun to possibly try and discover a new storyline with one of these wolves that maybe doesn't follow the goddesses. And now we're at Ember, and I will say for Ember, I was actually really excited to write his story after I had discovered something I didn't really notice in the reveal for him. So I did not do this, but his tail is tucked all the way in. Like, that's as far as it can go. If you go to the crooked tail drag, you can see it is all the way inward, which almost to me looks like an extremely submissive position of the tail. And so I was thinking, I'm gonna make his whole background based on the fact that he is more submissive. And then I noticed his strength and I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna create a gentle giant. And so my whole thing for him is based on gentle giant. Ember is the second born son of Teo and Sundance's second litter. While always being the strongest and largest of the brothers, Ember has the most docile temperament. He is the phrase gentle giant. Leaning more towards the demeanor of his mother, he enjoys spreading a little joy to his siblings. This only grew as he became old enough to care for his younger siblings. However, when he truly started to learn how to hunt, this is when he changed. Imber described hunting like he was a one wolf pack. He told his father that when he hunted, he felt Eartha with him at all times, her hooves thrumming beside him. Now old enough to leave, Teo encourages Imber to try hunting in his old home of Lost River, as Teo described those hunts as some of the best he ever had. Imber leaves for the thrill of the hunt. Will his drive of hunting lead him there, or will his docile heart bring him back home? So, Imber does kind of lean in the middle there. So he does feel a connection to Eartha. Like he is with her. He's driving this hunt and she is by his side. His desire to hunt is so strong that he just wants to do it all the time. And so now Teo's like, if you like to hunt, you need to go here. And that is how Imber goes to Lost River, is with Teo's direction, and to hunt some of the better game. And as we know, we do have farmland there where we can hunt cows. Fun. This is another really cool example of, even though I didn't write a goal, a quirk, and a flaw, you can see for Imber specifically how those might play out because he loves hunting. All of his personality traits and ideals will be based off the love of the hunt, but his flaw would have a lot to do with how docile and submissive he is. Can he push past that to be a leader altogether? So much potential with all of these pups, genuinely. And I think that's why I leave them so open, is because they're young. They're like, when you first get out of college, you're like, I can do anything, you know? And so for them, it's kind of the same. They just finished their training. They have a whole life ahead of them. What can they do? And then we have Manda. And I do want to say that I took a lot of inspiration from what Zamir posted in the pup reveal video for Manda. I even took some of the customization he suggested. I notched her ear and folded it a little bit. I even gave her a shorter tail because she is the runt. But this is what I wrote for Manda. Manda is the smallest of Teo and Sundance's pups in their second litter. However, her size didn't stop her from growing into a willfully powerful wolf. Picked on and often shoved away from food, Manda had to fight for every bite, scrap, and bone from her siblings. It wasn't that they were cruel, just a bit careless, and Manda knew this. Seeing this gave her a desire to be more thoughtful of her actions. She understood at a very young age her actions have consequences. This made her more calculated in everything. Now a full-grown adult, Manda has declared that she wishes to lead Lost River back to the old ways and become a champion of Eartha. Manda has always valued the stories of the wise white wolf Seraph and believes in walking in her grandmother's footsteps of wisdom over strength. Will Manda lead an army of faith in Lost River, or will she instead live in the shadows of her parents and grandparents? And so I said in that video of the pup reveal that Manda looked like she could command an army. And then I realized that she was the runt. So this would be a runt playthrough. Now the cool thing is I still kept that because she does. She looks like a commander of an army. She just has that look to her. And I still wanted to keep that despite her stats. The way I made it make sense is that she's choosing her wisdom since her strength can't back her up. She's not strong. She definitely doesn't have endurance. She's a little quick on her feet, but she's also not very healthy. And from her size, you can see that she's not very healthy. But that doesn't mean that she couldn't lead. And so that is her desire. So will we take her there? It would be a lot of fun. It would definitely be hard. She would be a runt playthrough, and runt playthroughs sound really fun, but it also kind of sounds like I'm playing Ultra Iron Wolf because I play all these wolves as Iron Wolves. I think the only one that I said has like plot armor is Teo, But I've also not lost him. I've come really close though, y'all. I've come so close to losing Teo. But we're not talking about Teo. We're talking about Manda. So if you want to see a runt playthrough of Manda discovering her strength through wisdom and through calculated attacks, then I would definitely pick her. And then we have Crow. I had a lot of fun writing Crow as well. I didn't give him any customizations. I didn't think he would have any other than adding a fluffy tail because yes. But let's read about Crow. Crow is the last-born son of Teo and Sundance's second litter. He grew up just like the rest of his siblings, hearing the old ways and listening to Teo's stories. However, he always had so many questions, and some were never answered. As he aged, he felt more and more disconnected from the stories and faith, almost becoming resistant to them. Crow focused more and more on hunting and fighting and just being a wolf. While Teo and Sundance decided not to push Crow, they weren't discreet in their worry for him. This only made him feel abnormal and outcast from his own siblings other than Willow. During his final hunting test, Crow felt a need to prove himself, to be noticed. Unfortunately, this resulted in a permanent injury to his back leg. While he carries himself well, the injury affects his ability to run. Feeling ashamed, he runs away from his family and his home. Will Crow find himself in Lost River in hopes of finding his purpose and hope? Or is he lost forever? So Crow has a -2 speed, which makes him pretty slow. I thought it made sense for him to possibly have a leg injury. So even though I can't give him a permanent limp, and that would be so frustrating to play with anyway, he does have a small injury to his back leg that keeps him from running faster than your typical wolf. So I incorporated that into his story. And he would be fun to possibly end up having a new pack. I think any of these wolves possibly could do that unless they are specifically following the old ways, and then they would keep the Ovarian name. But him, I could almost see him taking on the Snagglefang name, possibly, because he would have met Mikhail. They wouldn't have stayed around for very long. But he does look like Bane, or he might just start his own pack with his own name. You know, he doesn't have to follow the Ovarian way. We can have as many packs as we want, and they can be as connected or disconnected as we want. But he's a very big possibility for a completely different pack. And last but certainly not least, we have Willow. And last but certainly not least, we have Willow. And I have a feeling that Willow is going to get picked. But I beg you, even though this is a very cool thing I wrote for her, do still consider others just in case. Don't just like ransack Willow unless you're like, nope, that's 100% what I want to see. Do at least give the others some thought. Okay. I didn't give her any customizations, so she's just kind of where she is. But this is what I wrote for Willow. Willow is born to Teo and Sundance in their second litter. Willow, from since she can remember, has been haunted by another wolf. This other wolf claims to have been a cousin and also named Willow. To others, Willow does seem like two different wolves, but to her, she is constantly fighting for control with the dead Willow. So this Willow struggles with her own identity. I'm saying Willow a lot. So essentially, because that was kind of confusing with having them both named Willow, she does get possessed by her dead cousin, and it causes her to seem like two different wolves because she's trying so hard to fight for essentially possession of her own body, even though she's being possessed by her cousin. So with her, we would literally play two different wolves, essentially. It would be 2 in 1. It isn't until she is about to come of age to leave that she meets Mikhail. Desperate for answers, she asks Mikhail if he had lost a daughter named Willow. This is when she finds out about Aspen's lost daughter. Armed with this new information, Willow decides to leave Slough Creek, hoping it will get rid of her dead cousin's connection to her. Unfortunately, it does not, and now Willow finds herself far from home, fighting for control over her own body. Will Willow find peace in Lost River, or will she succumb to the torment of her haunting and become lost forever? So, essentially, if we end up choosing Willow, I will have 2 separate goals, quirks, flaws, and pack points. But for her specifically, the pack point would determine who ends up having permanent control. So if the dead Willow has control, like has more pack points, then she has control of the body permanently, and we would get to find out what happens. So this has been something I planned for Willow for a really long time. I just feel bad that I didn't have something as big planned for the other pups, but I could see the others having something just as interesting and special, I hope. I see it, but this one is, Willow is so much more glaring. But like I said, just think about the others and give them a chance. But if you truly are like, nope, Willow all the way, then I understand. I have a feeling she's going to get chosen. I'm going to be completely open about that. I mean, heck, when we named this last litter of pups, I think the name Willow popped up like 20 times. And I'm like, guys, we've had 2 Willows. So for her name alone, she might get chosen, which is kind of hilarious to me. I do love the name Willow. I have a D&D and Pathfinder character named Willow, so I get it. Anywho, that is all the pups. So now we're gonna get into the straw poll. So as you can see here, and yes, I probably should have showed this in the first part of the video. Maybe I'll come in the beginning with a little like, by the way. Anywho, yes, so Teo's living pups from his first and second litter, that pretty much won by 9 points. It's so funny because I would have voted for this. I wanted to see Charm really bad, but after hearing a lot of explanation for why on earth would Charm go there, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Also, that brings up a point. I had many people suggest, why didn't you include Dusk? And I thought about it and I was like, honestly, it would have been a good idea. And I even thought about ways to incorporate it. And I was thinking about incorporating Dusk into the voting for this vote, just to possibly give him a second chance. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I do not see at all Dusk going and getting another mate. Like, it would take him a lot of time to get another mate, if at all, because of the healing process. And so the more I thought about it, the less and less I was like, Dusk could be in there. I just don't want to see Dusk have more children and move on so quickly. Like, Charm, I could see. Charm had a desire to have a family. She desired being a mother. She desired having puppies. And so for her, even though she loved Aspen with all her heart, having a family was what she truly wanted. So for her to move on made sense. Dusk, he was a good father, but he loved Dawn. His whole connection to that family was through her. He loved her so much. His love was very similar to how Kirby loves Mikhail. And so for him, I almost think it makes less sense for him to move on because of his love for Dawn. And also, to him, he still feels like he failed his pups, so why would he want more? I also just didn't want him to be the dad that left and never came back, you know, stereotype, and that he went off and had his own family and he moved on. The more I thought about it, the more I didn't like the idea. I think that if we ever saw Dusk again, it would be in a multiplayer situation and he would come in. If we ever did a storytelling like video and multiplayer, I could see him coming back and helping if he didn't die. And we don't really know what happened to him because I haven't 100% decided, but like I said, the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I don't know that Dusk would want to go off and start another family, and it could take him years to do that. It wouldn't be the very next year. So I hope I didn't hurt anybody's feelings by saying that. But I want to open it out there. If you want Dusk to have a story beyond Dawn, beyond him walking away from his family to go meditate, please write fan fiction. Write fan fiction with your own Wolf OCs. I would love to read them. Feel free to write fan fiction for Dusk. But I don't think I want to see him continued with another family, at least in my story. Anywho's, back to straw poll. So yes, this one. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna transition to the new poll. And so here we are officially with the new poll. Y'all will have until Wednesday, the 4th of January, to vote. So at midnight of January 5th, the poll will officially be over. So you will have today, when this is posted, all the way through Wednesday late to vote. So as a reminder, we have Moondancer, Eartham, Seraphine, Root, Ember, Manda, Crow, and Willow. Feel free to go back and watch the wolves as many times as you need to before you vote. But once you do vote, just click what you want, click vote, and then you should be able to click on the results page and see the results. I am not voting until I might need to be a tiebreaker. If I need to be a tiebreaker, I usually hold my vote till the very end. I know who I'd like to vote for, but I'm not going to say because I don't want to sway the vote. All right, y'all. So it is up to you on what the future of 2023 will look like with this new WolfQuest series following this new wolf in possibly a story that connects with our current story, or something that goes off into a completely different direction. It's all up to you. The future is in your hands. No pressure. Anyways, I am very excited for the future of 2023. I am most excited about getting to spend it with y'all. Have fun voting. Like I said, go back and watch as many times as you need in order to figure out what wolf you want to vote for. I understand this may take time. Take your time. I get it. It's a lot. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, tickle and poke the like button. Subscribe to join our family if you want to take part in our mini stories and adventures on the channel. And then ring the bell so you're notified when I release those stories. I love you guys. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next Sunday with the start of our new series. Bye!